Good morning, students. Today, I, Padmaja Behra, has come with another video on the book First Flight, and the chapter is Diary of Anne Frank. It is the fourth chapter. And the underlying theme of this particular chapter is the sacrifice of one human being for another, loneliness of adolescence, because Anne Frank is the main protagonist, and she was adolescent. She was lonely. She felt lonely because of the war. Secondly, she did not have a very good relationship with her mother and sister. So, of course, she was close to her father. And then how all of us can draw a line between our inward self and outward self. Sometimes we inwardly are very insecure, but outwardly we show that we are quite normal. This chapter also deals with the problems faced during the war and problems of war, growing up, the problems of war and its repercussions. This chapter is based in Amsterdam during the time of the World War II. Secondly, in our syllabus, we have diary entry. Do you know, children, why do we write a diary? Because when we are unable to express ourselves before others, we tend to write or pen down our emotions in a diary. So this Anne Frank also did the same. She found a very good friend in her diary, which she had named Kitty. And the story is based in Amsterdam, and here this 13-year-old girl speaks in first person and is addressing her diary as her friend. She writes with the idea that the record might be read by others as her experience about the war. In her tone, she is quite philosophical, and she expresses her struggle to understand ourselves both in relation to her family and the world outside, because she was in a very tumultuous situation because of the war and because of her inner feelings, because nobody likes the war. That's why Anne Frank has written this diary in first person. Normally, what do we tell you to write diary? In past tense, and as if that has happened with you. Now, I'll tell you a brief summary of this particular chapter. This is the story of a young Jewish girl named Anne Frank. The diary is based on her daily events. She was expressing herself in that particular diary. The story is based, or the diary is based when Anne Frank had gone into hiding, and why? Because they were scared of the Nazis, and Hitler was the ruler, because Hitler was not very, not behaving properly with the Jews, so they all had gone into hiding. They had to hide there, and ultimately, after a few days or so, after 2 years or so, she was taken to the concentration camp, and she died. Only her father was alive. Father was Otto Frank. Only he was alive, and he found the diary, found a few pages, and which Anne Frank had written, and he only made published the book, and named it The Diary of a Young Girl, because she was hardly 13-year-old when she wrote this diary. In this diary, she has shared her experiences when she was in a very disturbed state of mind. She was hiding in a secret annex with 7 other people. She does not have any close friend. She thinks so. Like normally, when we're adolescent, we always think that we don't have any person to whom we can share. She makes her diary her friend. She's disturbed, and she has described all the good and bad experiences of the war. After almost 2 years in hiding, the Anne Frank and her family members and other members who were there in the annex were discovered and they were sent to the concentration camp. Otto Frank, her father, was the one of the 8 people who survived the war. After Anne Frank's death, she became famous because of her diary, which she had written in the hiding. And her father only published this book. When you go through the book, you will have a very good idea about what all problems an adolescent or a teenager faces in her life. Secondly, during the war, the situation is always very grim, and you are stuck inside the house for no reasons. Look at the situation we are now. Same. It's a war-like situation. We are stuck. We have nothing else to do. Same. Just imagine the situation of the young girl Anne Frank was only 13-year-old. That is why she was penning down her feelings in the form of a diary, and which got published as a book, and now it is a classic. Thank you, children, for patiently hearing, and I will keep on uploading some videos of many of your other chapters also. Please do like and share among your friends, and do subscribe also. Thank you.